So actually, that's like exactly when I had my child. Yeah, she was born in October.
Yeah, like a packet. Oh, like a salty packet. To me, anyway. Yeah, exactly. All right. All good? All right. Everybody ready to get going?
Yes, sir.
Rich and Steph, you guys ready to get going?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the October 28th, 2025 meeting of the Leominster Conservation Commission. The public is encouraged to follow along with the meeting using the posted agenda. I'd like to ask anyone attending to please silence your devices. My name is Jesse Averka. I am the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. Before we begin, allow me to confirm which members are present. Mike Seeke. Nick Venti.
Right here.
Steph Quinlan.
Here.
And Rich Gullick.
Here.
All right, perfect. And just as an FYI, so let's see, we're having, under new hearings, 1 and 2 are happening. Under 3, the Lake Whalum shoreline, we're still waiting for a DEP number for that. And then item 5, the Orchard Hill development, the planning board had requested some changes, so we don't have a final plan from the applicant. So they are waiting to get that into us, and as such, we're going to be continuing that hearing without any discussion tonight. So that'll be taken up at the next meeting. And with that, I will hand it over to Steph, who is subbing in for our usual chairman. Chuck Raymond couldn't make it. And we're very excited and thankful that she was willing to step into the role. And if everyone could silence their devices now, that would be appreciated, but no worries.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry if you were here for Orchard Hill. I would imagine this is a disappointment. But moving forward, the first item on the agenda is we check with the audience to see if anyone has any questions or comments regarding projects that are not on the docket for discussion. So if there are any general questions, we can take those now. No? Excellent. Moving forward. Oh, okay.
Just Bill Hannigan, Hannigan Engineering, just a point of order. Do we have a quorum? Is a quorum
Yes.
for
Yes.
7?
Yep.
Okay.
It's 6. Well, we have 6, so we need to have 4.
Even if we had a full 7, we got 4. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping us honest, Bill.
Yeah, no, it's definitely appreciated.
Perfect. Next item, moving into request for certificates of compliance. Item number 1, 940 Union, DEP file number 199-0439, work never completed.
Yeah, so I don't have a copy of the plan, but this is from 1993. It's when it was issued, and it was for construction of a garage at a single-family home, and there is no garage. So they never decided to go forward with the project. Now they're selling the place and realizing that they have this hanging over their property. So looking for one of the certificates that just says the work was never done.
All right, so what's your recommendation?
I say we give it to them.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions or comments from anyone on the commission?
Is that a certificate of incompletion?
In compliance.
It is, yeah, it is still like a certificate of compliance, but one of the options is just work was never completed, or you can give a partial, yeah. It's funny that it's called that, though.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, I will entertain a motion to close this portion of the hearing.
So moved.
Right, do I,
Do
yeah,
you want
We don't know, we
don't
can
think
just
we do
issue a
that.
COC.
ah, beautiful.
It's
Yeah,
not
let's go
here.
straight to that.
to, yeah. Do you want a motion to To
I
grant
will,
the- to
I will
grant the-
entertain a motion to grant the certificate of compliance.
I'll make that motion.
Second, I second it.
Good stuff. And on that vote, how do you vote? Mike,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
and Rich?
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
Next item, item number 2, Hannigan Engineering, Roche Ave, DEP file number 199-0118, partial completion.
Is Bill still here? Yeah. Do you guys can go over what they have going on over there?
Hello. You guys can hear me, right?
I think it's just on. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm Dominic Elaine with Hannigan Engineering, representing Pierce Pond Realty Trust for the partial completion of Roche Avenue for a certificate of compliance. The roadway has been partially completed. Sorry, one second. So this project is back from April of 2016, and the original order of conditions was extended until April of 2022. This has expired, and a certificate of compliance is being requested for the work that has been completed thus far. So far, the roadway has been brought to a binder coat of pavement, and the associated sewer lines, drainage basins, and water service mains have all been constructed. At this time, the individual lots have not been developed. Stormwater improvements, including rain gardens and swales, have not been constructed as they were not a part of the original roadway. The remaining work is limited to a sidewalk, curbing, and final pavement construction, which will be reviewed by a new notice of intent, which has been submitted by us to be filed with the commission. And so a certificate of compliance is being requested for the work completed thus far.
Yep. All right, thank you, Dominic. Yeah, I mean, I've been out there. I didn't have any concerns. I mean, we have, right now, so we have that, just as far as what's going on later in the meeting. So we all had questions about Lot 12A, Roche, like why there was no stormwater submitted with that. So all of the calculations for that are included with the other filing that they have, since submitted, which is the, I guess, item 2 under new hearings is the Pierce Pond subdivision roadway. So all of that info is in there. I mean, I guess back to the matter at hand, I looked at the work that they have completed out there. I think that it followed the plan. I didn't have any concerns. Can always, if you guys want to take a vote, great. If you want to go look at it, we can find a time to go look at it too.
If there are concerns with anything that hasn't been completed at this time and that is being addressed with a new notice of intent, I don't have any concerns. Does anyone else on the commission have questions or concerns?
One question, though. Is there an itemization of what has been completed against the original order of conditions?
For the record, Bill Hannigan with Hannigan Engineering, within the certificate of compliance documentation, we state what we've done. Under the new notice of intent, it gets into more detail of what we need to do to complete the roadway construction. So, to your point, it is spelled out, but it's basically bringing it
Just so we
from,
have something to follow.
yeah, from here forward. And the certificate of compliance needs to be closed out on the old ones because it's expired. So it's a partial, release of, certificate of the work that's been done. And then the new notice of intent will cover the work that is going to be done. And all the stormwater stuff that's associated with the questions that came up with Law 12 were actually part of the original notice of intent for the roadway and infrastructure. And now that's being covered by the new notice of intent that's been submitted for the subdivision roadway construction. And then each lot, as we come in, will come in for each lot all the stormwater elements of each lot will have been addressed by the roadway work.
Perfect. Okay, no other questions?
When was this order applied for?
I think 2016, is that what you said?
Yeah, April
Yes,
2016
that was-
Yeah.
2016. Okay.
is when it was issued.
Okay, it was issued
Right.
2016. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any questions from the public? No, in that case, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of partial.
Yeah, a partial certificate of compliance. Perfect.
Technically, it's a certificate of compliance for the work that's been completed.
Okay,
That way, it's because if you put partial in the words in the registry, then lawyers look at it later on and say, well, wait, what happened to the rest of it?
sure.
So, please.
Okay. I will entertain a motion for a certificate of compliance for the work that has been completed.
I will make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
And how do you vote on that, Rich?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Moving along, item number 3 in certificate of compliance is Hannigan Engineering, Roche Ave, DEP file number 199-1019, 199-1020, 199-1021, 199-1022, 199-1023, 199-1024, for work never completed.
Yeah, so those are the DEP file numbers for lots, part of the Pierce Pond subdivision, lots 3A, lot 7, lot 8, lot 9, lot 10A, and lot 12A. None of the work on any of these lots has been started. The original order of conditions has expired, so we're requesting a certificate of compliance.
Individual certificate of compliance for each of the file numbers, please.
Okay.
I think that we can just take one motion approving, they're all work not completed, so
Yep.
1019 through 1024.
So it occurs to me that the previous, reading this series of file numbers, it occurs to me that in the previous case that, I know we're discussing a new issue, but it occurs to me that in the previous case, 199-0118 is not the correct file number. It should be 199-1018 instead of 0118. So
Good point.
what did we?
Probably just a typo for me, realistically.
But what did we just vote on? If we voted on the wrong file number, we should probably correct that first.
Yes, sir.
I think on the agenda it says on the agenda it says 0118. On the application for the request, it says 1018. So the request was proper, and I think you voted on the request.
Okay, so
Yep.
thank you,
Just a
Bill.
typo in the agenda.
Thank you for straightening that out. Okay. So I think we can proceed then.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for work not complete. Is that how we rephrased it with the
Yeah.
first one? For the DEP file numbers mentioned with item number 3.
So moved.
I'll second that.
And on that vote, how do you vote? Mike?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And Nick?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
And you too, Dominic. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it would be okay, but if we're unsure, we can
It
defer
might.
to Jesse.
Where'd the bear come from? It's shown over.
Okay.
Well, one,
Moving on.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm asking Mike about bears now. I'm getting off
Okay.
track.
Sorry for the distraction. The reason will become apparent in just a moment. Moving on to new hearings, we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Craig Talent for a dead wood and hazard tree removal at 16 Wildflower. Is anybody here to present on that? Okay. And the discussion that I was having with Dr. Gulick was that I, as kind of an abutter, we were wondering if it was appropriate for me to, to be a part of this conversation and to vote on the matter, or
Yeah.
if it would be more appropriate for me to recuse myself from the discussion.
I mean, I don't, unless you feel you have a vested personal or financial interest in the project, then.
I do not.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, like after reading through the state's conflict of interest law, I don't think that,
Okay.
that's what it states is you need to have a personal like bias basically.
I definitely do not. Do you object to me participating in the discussion? Okay.
Great.
Well, then I shall remain. Please state your name and address for the record.
It's Craig Talent, 16 Wildflower Road in Leominster, Massachusetts.
Nice to meet you, neighbor.
So I've been out to Craig's place a number of times. All he's looking to do is, he just moved into this house in February. And we're coming up on winter, and there are a few, the majority of the trees that he wants, I mean, it's really only 3 or 4 fairly large, like this dead one right here. There's one big pine that is, if it came down, another one right here. It's mostly small stuff, no more than like 5 or 6 dBH, other than this big forked pine, which is, right off of the stone wall, or I guess I would say developed area. Everything, the furthest tree in that he wants removed is probably 5 or 6 feet into the brush. So that's.
is that one tree with a split?
So yeah, it's that's the V there. That's one tree, and then onto the right of the house, there's another massive, like bigger tree that Jesse mentioned, and there's just smaller ones that are dying that like just kind of have longer branches that kind of hit the house. Like when we had the big windstorm the other day, the dead branches were just starting to hit the roof and falling off. So we're just trying to get rid of
Those
it.
splits will come down fast.
Yeah, especially the one that's tilting towards the house. That's
Yeah,
what
that
we're
one's
concerned about.
it's gearing up for a unfortunate
Failure.
landing.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one on the right of the house, correct me if I'm wrong, can you go back to the other map? I think that is the area that would be more proximal to the resource area. Do you know how far 1 and 2 are from the flagged wetland area? Just,
I think it's probably like 20 feet. I can pull up, I've got it, I'll pull it up. Because I have that.
The stumps
I
will
think
remain,
Matt's the
Yeah,
one
yeah,
who,
stumps
Matt's the
are-
one who
that's
flagged
gonna be a
it, so
question.
as long as this will let me get into that folder, that I can pull up the flags that he submitted.
Can you remind us, Jesse, where we are in terms of DEP inspecting the
We-
order of conditions and how that was complied with?
I mean, that's,
By
at
the
that point, that's,
developer?
yeah.
Not by this gentleman, but by the developer?
Yeah, he's
sure that's
he's
clear.
well aware of that. At this point, it's kind of between DEP and him and the developer. But
Because
I mean,
DEP took over that case.
yeah, well, it was a superseding order of conditions, so it came
I
from
guess
them.
that's worth pointing out,
Yeah.
is that was one case we've had in at least my 4 or 5 years, and Mr. Siki also, where that we turned it down, the original notice of intent, and it was appealed to DEP. DEP took the case. Once it was appealed, it became out of the city's hands. So we had no say in the conditions or in compliance of it. It was purely at the state level. I thought this audience might be interested in that fact.
Well, this is, to answer your question, Steph. This is the, limit of work here. And then the flags are a bit further in. And what's the scale on this, John, right here?
And Jesse, removing some dead wood and these hazard trees has no connection to what DEP is looking at regarding the order of conditions,
no,
correct?
this is a
No.
separate
Just
matter.
And
confirming
it's
that for
a safety issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, an inch is 20 feet, so I think, like around 20, maybe a little more than 20 feet at its closest.
That is interesting. The last time I remember seeing these plans and going out for the original inspection, I could have sworn the edge of the building was within 20 feet
Yeah.
of the flagged wetlands.
It may have been, and then, I don't know what plan you guys initially reviewed, but they could have submitted, updated materials to DEP before DEP gave them the go-ahead. That is, I think usually what happens when things like that are appealed.
Because if that's 12 feet, the scale on this, the lot's not that big. That is interesting, but not an issue I have with you. Yes, or your trees. Yeah, I would be interested in maybe looking at that map later on,
Yeah.
but we don't need that to hold us up here. Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the public? Okay, Jesse, what's your recommendation?
I would recommend issuing a -2 determination that doesn't have any potential to negatively impact the resource area. It's gonna leave the stumps in too, I didn't even mention that, but.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of a big thing, so, yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay. Okay, I will entertain a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
Okay, so moved.
Seconded. Seconded.
Oh, on that vote, how do you vote? Mike,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and Steph?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then I will entertain a motion to issue a -2 determination for Mr. Talent for the removal of these deadwood hazard trees, so long as the stumps remain in place.
So moved.
I second that.
And on that vote, how do you vote? Rich,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and Nick?
Aye.
Okay. All right, you're all good, Craig. Thank you.
So much, everyone.
Yeah, I'll be in touch about
Yeah, I'll let
getting
you
the
know when I
paperwork.
schedule the thing so you know that if you wanted to come out for it.
Cool. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Moving forward, we have a notice of intent filed by Pierce Pond Realty Trust, represented by William Hannigan, for the Peace Pond subdivision roadway extension on Roche Ave. Good evening again.
For the record, Bill Hannigan and Dominic Elaine with Hannigan Engineering. So this is the follow-up of the discussion we had earlier tonight. At this point, we haven't received a DEP file number, nor have we received DEP comments. So, and I believe we've all been out to the site to see what the conditions are now, and the plans show what the conditions are going to be. So we would request that the hearing be continued to the next meeting, and hopefully we'll have DEP comments and a DEP file number by then.
Perfect.
Okay. I know you had a long night, so.
Not nearly as long as it could have been. Okay, any questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you have a stormwater plan stormwater management
It
plan?
was all submitted, yep.
That's attached to the notice of intent?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
we have that?
Yeah, that's all.
Calcs, stormwater management, certifications, documentation, operation and maintenance, all that stuff's part of the new notice of intent, correct?
Okay, is that?
Yeah, that's all in the drive here,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
if you go to, I think it's this one, this says everything.
Great.
Yeah.
What's the verbiage I'm looking for here? Okay. Okay, continuation, thank you. Any questions or comments from the public at this time? Nope, in that case, I will entertain a motion to continue this to the next commission meeting, assuming DEP comments are issued at this time, which would be November 11th, 2025.
So moved.
We do need to, I was gonna bring this up later, that's a holiday, so we're gonna have to pick a different day that week if we wanna.
A different
We can
day
just say
that
it's
week?
continued to the next meeting.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
date to be determined.
The early November meeting.
Yeah. Works.
Is that acceptable to you guys at this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know when you're going to be scheduling for the next hearing or the next, what the meeting's
Yeah, we're
gonna
gonna figure it out tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
Give you a heads up.
be? Sometime in that time frame.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward I will entertain a motion to continue that to the next meeting,
I'll make that
date
motion.
TBD.
I'll second the motion.
On that vote, how do you vote? Mike,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
and Rich.
Aye.
All right, thanks.
I keep pausing, waiting for someone else to move this forward. I keep forgetting it's my job. Moving forward, item number 3 under new hearings, we have a request for determination of applicability filed by the Leominster DPW for vegetation removal as well as fence repair work alongside Lake Whalum shoreline. Is anybody here to present on that?
I don't think anyone is here, but I can go over the details of what they're looking to do. The fence removal, they're no longer looking to do, so it's really just vegetation maintenance, which is something that's permitted under, I forget what CMR it is, but I can tell anyone if they want to know. But pull that email from Jake. If I can type. So essentially, all they're looking to do is, in the maintenance of the roadway here along that Lake Whalum shoreline and this fence, they were gonna repair the fence, they don't want to anymore, they're not moving forward with that. But they wanna cut back some of this brush, it's just a nuisance, just getting in the way. And they're gonna be operating, like I said, brush is a permitted, brush removal like that is a permitted activity, but they're gonna be using gas, like weed whackers and saws and things like that to remove it that close to the water, so they wanted a determination from us due to that.
Okay, any
That's about
questions?
Well, should the fence repair be taken out of the request?
So when we grant a negative determination, we can input info on that. I just put this on that's what the ad went out as, so I left it as that on the agenda.
Okay.
But yeah, no, good point though.
I was gonna say, any other questions?
It's all mechanical removal, no chemicals?
No chemical removal. Nope. No.
Just weed whackers, loppers,
Yeah.
chainsaws maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the only risk would be oil, fuel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, my recommendation would be issue a negative 2, but put in the condition that we have, which says no refueling within, I think 50 feet is fine in this case. So they're
Within
not-
some particular distance? Or
Yeah, we could, I think in NOIs, it's typically 100 feet. I think in this case, for simplicity's sake, I think if you're 50 feet away, it's fine, you know, you're on the other side of the street at that point.
Yeah.
But
That,
Any further, you'd be on somebody else's property.
that's kind of,
Yeah.
kind of what I'm getting at, yeah. So that's
Okay.
my 2 cents, but, you know, it's,
yeah, I mean, my 2 cents is if they're on the pavement, if there was, you know, any kind of release, it could be dealt with very quickly.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, absolutely.
Just like not on the porous soil sand next to the
No
lake.
refueling over the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think 50 feet is more than reasonable if that's what the standard boilerplate says. Any questions from the public? No? Okay. Would this be a -2, Jesse?
Yeah, that's my recommendation.
All right. I will entertain a motion to grant a -2 determination.
Could I ask a question?
Oh, please.
Yeah.
What kind of vegetation is this? Is this upland vegetation?
You know, I didn't really spend long identifying it, but I would imagine so. I mean, what they're concerned about is the stuff that's up on the rocks.
Okay.
Like, not really,
Looks like there's some sumac there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any particular species of concern that you're trying to look out for?
I guess I'd be. I got some reservations about removing wetland vegetation.
I find it unlikely that,
But the sumac would be upland vegetation.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be.
I mean, their reason for doing this is just like vegetation encroaching into the roadway. And, you know, you can see that it's raised up,
Yep.
so.
And was this, this is for just access, effectively? Or is it vista pruning, or
Looks like it's for maintaining the fence
just,
from not getting overgrown.
okay,
That's
Yeah.
structural integrity of
Yeah, it's just
the,
maintenance, just
Okay.
routine
Boundary.
maintenance,
okay.
essentially, yeah.
And again,
Okay.
if they're not removing any stumps or any of the roots or anything,
Yeah.
it'll just go back. so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is a new hearing, so I think so.
Okay, thanks for clarifying those things.
Yeah, of course.
I will entertain a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
You asked for them,
I did.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, on that vote, Mike,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and Steph.
Aye. Next, I will entertain a motion to grant a -2 determination.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it with the condition and that any fueling is 50 feet or more away.
Yep.
Does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Perfect. All right, how do you vote? Nick,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
and Rich.
Aye.
Lovely.
All
Okay.
right, moving on to continued hearings. We have a notice of intent filed by Peter Bavenzi, represented by William Hannigan, for the construction of a single-family dwelling at Lot 12A, Roche Ave, DEP file number 199-1216.
Back.
It's just the Hannigan show tonight.
We're here for your entertainment. For the record, Bill Hannigan with Hannigan Engineering, along with Dominic Wayne. I'll let Dominic go through this. We did have an initial meeting and a site walk, but I think a lot of the gaps have been filled with the different order of conditions and filings we've done since then. But do you have the plans, Jesse, to bring up? or-
Yeah, I do. I'm pulling them up right now. When was that first meeting? Right here. Oh, so.
All right, so once again, Dominic Lane with Hannigan Engineering, representing Pierce Pond Realty Trust for the construction of a single-family home on proposed Lot 12B, the previously approved Pierce Pond subdivision. You all know where it is, as a reminder, it's located on Roche Avenue, northern side of Pierce Ponds. The originally approved NOI was from 2016 for all 12 lots plus the road. It's recently expired, so we closed that out now with the certificate of compliance. And so, if I remember from last time, you guys were concerned about the drainage being up to date. And so for this hearing, we have updated the drainage for the entire development. And the drainage report is provided with the notice of intent. In terms of changes from the original drainage design, originally there were 2 detention basins proposed on either side, north and south of Roche Avenue, as you can see, kind of central on the plan. One of these, to comply with new regulations, one of these has been converted to an infiltration basin to achieve the phosphorus removal. In addition, another infiltration basin has been added on the screen on the kind of southwest portion of the screen, which will aid in providing recharge and phosphorus removal to comply with newer regulations. In addition, we also submitted a floodplain analysis of the updated floodplain, and to account for any changes made to the overall projects, we have a dedicated floodplain compensation area. If you could scroll to like the northwest, you can kind of see it.
Yeah, right up here.
Yeah. That is where the bulk of floodplain storage will be provided. In comparison to the original plan, it's been expanded to ensure compliance with the floodplain regulations. And yeah, that's the changes that have been made.
Most of those changes are actually reviewed under the roadway notice of intent that was submitted, so that the roadway infrastructure, floodplain review, stormwater management, recharge, TSS removal, phosphorus removal, all that stuff is under the notice of intent that we just filed for the remaining roadway work, including upgrading the drainage calcs and the stormwater compliance to current standards. So that's all underneath the roadway part. So the lot now is, we're providing you the answers that were asked by both DEP and by some of the members in the original filing for just Lot 12. Those are being addressed, like I said, in the roadway ones, and now Lot 12 sits on its own.
And the roadway ones that we just discussed a few minutes ago and continued.
Correct.
Till the next
Yep.
meeting, just to be
Right.
clear.
So we're asking tonight that the order conditions for the Lot 12 construction be approved, knowing that we're going to be dealing with the other stuff at the next meeting.
I mean, forgive me, but you guys are gonna be back for the roadway NOI either way. Since this is so closely tied and, it does fall under stormwater standards, I'd kind of like to wait and see what the state has to say about the other application that you guys sent in, since they are kind of intertwined. I think before we start going and approving individual lots, I'd rather see if the stormwater meets the standards that they have and what they have to say about that for the project as a whole.
Well, the stormwater standards are based upon the lot construction of all the entire development. So we aren't submitting the rest of those lots yet. So what we try to do is we've tried to incorporate in the new drainage calcs the information of what we're proposing on Lot 12, as well as what we're anticipating proposing on the rest of the lots.
Yeah.
To provide that. But that's actually under the stormwater system. That's this lot, for example, doesn't directly connect to the stormwater system on the road. So they're 2 separate items, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this one just drains to the pond?
This one has a combination of, if you could scroll up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I believe that there are some roof runoff.
That-
If you could zoom in on it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I believe, what we try to do is we try to make it so that each individual lot, as we come in, will be able to evaluate because we don't know exactly how big each house is going to be, so that the balance of the work on each of the lots would be attributed to what we're doing on the lot. And I'm trying to remember on this one, Dominic.
Yeah, so portions of the roof and driveway runoff, if you could see, flow to the west towards that newly designed infiltration basin. And to
I'm not
the-
sure if this is the most up-to-date plan. No, I'm not sure if this plan shows,
Yeah.
is this plan showing the changes we made to the drainage system?
I don't know, I mean,
Oh, is that, say,
I
Reed?
believe this was the last one that I was supplied.
Can you pull up the one for the roadway notice?
Yeah.
So if you zoom into,
Yeah, this is the updated one.
yeah, so just to the west, just to the west, you can see that infiltration basin is what we're doing, but we're not changing anything on lot 12 between what we submitted originally and what we're going to be reviewing under the roadway construction project. So lot 12 is independent of the rest of the work we're doing, the rest of the subdivision. Does that make sense?
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying. But
We'd
still,
also like to get to go, we'd like to be able to get going on lot 12 before the frost hits.
Yeah,
So that's
no,
part of it, you know.
no, I could definitely
We're
get that.
going to be here, so.
Yeah.
If the rest of the project did not go through, you would still do this one on Lot 12?
Yes,
So they are somewhat separate. And none of the others will come before us until we get through the roadway
that is
approval.
actually true.
And the whole
Correct, yep,
stormwater plan.
correct, that is true.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not feeling much objection to going forward today, Jesse.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we're to understand that the stormwater for Lot 12 drains to the west to Basin 2, and that's how it's stormwater managed?
Actually, it's the same on the plan that we submitted for lot 12. It still flows to the west, but the mechanism of what's capturing it is different under the new roadway layout versus the plan that was submitted for this one. And the previous one, it went to a rain garden. Now it's going to an infiltration basin. So the stormwater still goes the same direction in either case. So the work on lot 12 is really independent of everything else. And then when we go back and we come in with the next lot, the information will be consistent with what we have hopefully approved under the roadway package that we've submitted already. It will just come in one lot at a time at that point in time.
After the roadway one is completed.
Correct, yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the commission?
How far is this basin from the resource area?
It's not far. If you can scroll down a little bit more. I'm gonna just guess at about 35 or 40 feet, based upon,
Yeah, I don't have
It's
any.
a 100-foot buffer zone from the bank. Is that correct, Bill?
well, there's a buffer zone from the wetlands. There's bank of the pond, and there's also wetlands that comes inside the bank. So the 100-foot buffer zone on this project is based upon the edge of wetlands, not the edge of the bank.
That exceed the bank? Okay,
It's it actually, it brings the buffer zone more into the upland
okay.
with the wetland lines.
Is 35 sufficient for infiltration? I thought it had to be 50.
50, I think, well, if we have the plans, let's measure it. Because I'm, like I said, I'm looking at this and on a screen far enough away, and now that I'm,
What's the scale on this?
It should be probably 40, 30 or 40. Should be in the lower right.
Inches 40 feet.
40. Yeah, so it's probably more than 50 actually, because the driveway's in between it. You don't have a full-size set with you, do you?
I do.
Oh, actually, in there, yeah, in the board, he has it on the board, we can measure that. If you zoom further out, it gets closer.
Yeah, that's true.
It's nice the big one came in handy.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
did
like
come in
usually
handy.
they're just for show.
Right. So, yeah, it's probably, actually, I'm just looking at it now, the 100-foot buffer zone, if you bring it back up, the 100-foot buffer zone goes through it, so it's 100 feet away from the
Okay.
basin. If you look,
Very good.
the other plan, the previous plan, but you can kind of see the buffer zone on that one. The 100-foot buffer zone goes through it. So it's graded, it's probably about 90 feet away from the resource area on that one.
Thank you, Bill.
Perfect. Yeah, that
Thank
makes a
you.
big difference.
It looks different when it's in paper in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions from the commission? No? Any questions from the public? Okay, Jesse, what is your recommendation?
I guess the standard plus the special conditions that we have. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the special conditions?
It's essentially the standard one's expanded. It's
Okay.
like boilerplate. It's
Got it.
one page that we attach to anything that's more than, an incredibly minimal project.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I think we're familiar with those.
Yeah. exactly.
It's a much shorter version than the last one you may have seen.
Okay,
We cut it from 6 pages almost down to 1 1/4.
so you're using small print.
And we expanded the margins.
No, we cut words, whole sentences.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. I will, I will make a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
How do you vote, Mike?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
And Rich?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I will entertain a motion here. Can somebody help me with the words here? What are the words I'm
That was
looking
good.
for?
Entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent filed by Peter Vilvenzi for Lot 12A at Roche Avenue, DEP number 199-1216.
Okay, I will entertain the motion to approve the notice of intent as described by Dr. Golick.
I will make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
How do you vote on that, Nick?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
And Rich?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
Before we continue further at all, just wanted to check in and make sure that, because so many people have stayed, just wanted to reiterate that we will not be having a discussion about Orchard Hills tonight, just making sure that everybody here is prepared for that.
As was announced at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes.
But we want to make sure that got understood, that we won't be taking public comment tonight until the next meeting. So, but we appreciate your interest in all these other cases.
Of course, you're welcome
Thank
to
you.
stay.
Yeah, love it. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, continued hearings. Item number 2, notice of intent filed by Sean Collette, represented by Brian Marchetti for the construction of a single-family home associated with site improvements at 0 Bascom Street, DEP number 199-1218. Wow, that's embarrassing.
It's okay.
Jess, did you have a plan that you could pull up on there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
Okay.
I haven't been here since you went to 21st century. I have the old school plan, but
Please state your name for the record.
yep, absolutely. So John Plifka, McCarty Engineering here tonight, representing the applicant. So since the last meeting, we had the house blocks staked in the field. Members of the commission had the opportunity to walk the site. And those of you who had the opportunity, I think you would agree that the existing intermittent stream is pretty well defined. And we'd like to highlight that there's no FEMA floodplain associated with that resource area. That this is a buffer zone only impact, and we've located the house as far away from the resource area as possible while still maintaining it being zoning compliant. We're also, we are providing a dry well to treat the rooftop, and that's kind of the brief overview of me. I'm happy to go into more detail of the plan, but
Which side is the dry well on?
the dry well is that box shown
it's
right
right
behind
here,
the house.
And the stream is where in
The
relation
stream
to
is
that?
Over here.
to the west.
Yeah. You can see it running that way.
I appreciate on the site visit that the neighbors were allowed to go with us, and that was very helpful. One main thing we came up with is that all the drainage possible, which, other than accepting the driveway, obviously, because it has to go into the road, that would drain toward the creek and not toward the other houses.
Yeah, so on site, years of leaf litter and kind of lawn clippings have kind of created a berm before you enter into the resource area. So when they're starting to work out there, it'll kind of be flattened out, and the natural grade wants it to go towards that stream. So it's not going to flood out any neighbors. In that sense, the applicant is amendable about if the board seems fit to add in kind of a trench around that. Around the property to better direct it. But that's something we certainly talk a little bit more about if need be.
I think that was the main agreement we had on site. You were there, Mike, right? Yeah, that you guys would make sure the water did drain away from the house. And again, the driveway obviously has to go
Right.
down, not drain back.
Yeah, you don't want to drain into the garage.
No, we don't.
So, no, we're amenable to putting in a stone trench drain that kind of goes behind the back of the house and diverts the water directly to that and away from the neighbors.
Jesse, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. So-
Sure.
And we can, if we end up issuing an order of conditions, we can have that be contingent on, the addition of that to a plan. And then that plan would be the one that actually goes with the order and is accepted.
I would prefer that be done in keeping with
Yeah.
what we discussed on site.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
It was
no
pretty
objection.
easy for
Well,
you.
we would definitely be amenable to that condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory, what is the, where the point where the construction, the building is closest to the resource area? What's that distance?
The closest is so it's.
I mean, it's here to here.
Yeah, so it's probably about,
I was gonna say like 50.
yeah, it's about 50 feet.
For it.
So we
Yeah,
shifted
maybe
it as
we'll do
far
one.
possible to
Yeah.
the zoning setback line on the easterly side. So zoning requires 10 feet, we're providing 11, just so we can tighten it, we don't want to right on 10, because then it could cause an issue during construction if you're off by,
Yeah.
that 1 foot.
If you can picture from our sidewalk, I think I showed you and Jordan the stake, but even if you can't picture the stake, like the vegetation gets a little bit denser. Like we walked in from the rear of the
Yeah.
property, and it gets a little denser on the right. That where it gets tighter on the right is pretty much where that like closest corner of or closest side of the house is gonna be.
Okay.
So, as far as I understand, the FEMA floodplain simply doesn't, is just simply not drawn around ephemeral streams. They just don't bother to draw them.
There's no FEMA associated with this intermittent stream. There is a wetland a little further down the road, but it's not encompassed on this parcel at all.
Yeah, as far as I understand, for ephemeral streams, FEMA doesn't delineate floodplains. So, however, we do have evidence of flooding in this location. What sort of measures have you taken to mitigate flood hazard in the plan itself?
So there is elevations associated with the garage and the house, the top of the concrete. We're showing it's getting raised. The garage is about a foot from it, but you could easily raise that a foot or two if it need be. But that's the site's getting raised, the house, to avoid from any of those flooding.
What is it getting raised right now? Like
We could, right now we're proposing it at 401. If it were to get up, 402, it would just be that exposed concrete on the foundation.
Yeah, okay.
Why would you raise that?
If flooding was a concern.
Yeah.
How does that affect it? When I'm missing something there.
That
So
if you have water coming up
Yeah.
from that stream eventually, the house is sitting higher.
Oh, you were worried about that? Okay, I thought you were talking about the house being flooded, not the neighbors being flooded. I thought you were talking about the neighbors getting flooded by this development.
Yeah.
No.
Right,
Okay.
your
No.
question was pertaining to the
So, yeah,
proposed
what
house.
sort
this
of measures
development.
against flooding are being taken here? Yeah. What sort of mitigation?
confused.
Well, this is already a foot up, right?
It is, yep.
Yeah, 'cause it's
We're-
401.
It is higher than the existing.
Yeah.
We could, potentially raise it up a foot or two more than what we're already proposing if it really was a concern.
And you had a bulkheaded basement,
Yes, it's a bulk, it's not a walkout.
and the elevation of that would be
Yeah,
little bit higher.
everything,
Everything would
goes,
be a little bit
goods
higher.
associated if we were to raise that, but
additional measures might be limitations of impervious surfaces. Is there, I don't know, I guess we could impose conditions on like outbuildings, like sheds, would potentially be a problem here if it's prone to flooding.
But that would have to come back to us, though, regardless, right? I mean,
I guess
No, it's under 200 feet, I don't think.
it's small.
100.
I guess, yeah, fundamentally, I'm less worried about a shed and more worried about a basement.
Yeah.
Sure.
And again, this is, outside of our purview, but just out of concern for the future owner of the house.
Excuse me.
Yeah, feels a little dicey.
It did appear that that soil was pretty porous over there, though. It's all gravel.
yeah, there's a lot of it's a lot of
It's a lot of
gravel,
gravel.
so it should
Yeah.
drain well.
It's probably an alluvial deposit associated with the stream.
Excuse me?
The gravel is probably an alluvial deposit associated with the stream.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Any questions or comments from the public? When you come up, please state your name and address for the record.
Bill Coulter, I'm in a butter on lot, I believe it's 33518. I believe yours is 33516. When, years ago, we had a problem, and I learned that the EPA, they were on site because of a sewage break. The EPA covers that entire wetlands from behind Bascom Street and on. They also cover the two tributaries that lead in, the length of them. When I spoke to a representative of the EPA, they said that the Army Corps of Engineer has actual authority over all wetlands in the U.S. When I spoke to them, they had not gotten any application or request to look at the property to address these flooding issues. They have them look at it and decide what should be done and what needs to be done to address these concerns of flooding for the neighbors and for the new house if it gets in there. I didn't know if you had received anything yet, Jesse. I
So
think
the only time that the Army Corps of Engineers would get involved is if you're like redirecting a stream, if you're changing the natural course of a water body, things like that. Work just in the buffer zone of an intermittent stream like this would not trigger their
Oh.
involvement.
That's something I got different, but what I wanted to know was, had they contacted you about it? Because they said they've gotten no applications, no request
I
for
haven't heard
any
anything
projects
from
in
them.
Leominster, never mind Orchard Hills or the single family. They've got nothing from your office or from anyone, the
Well,
developers.
either that would come from an applicant if it warranted their jurisdiction.
They said the developers should also be sending them something to let them know where they're working.
Yeah.
They've got nothing from anybody in Leominster
I
about
think
any
that
work.
if they had reason to get involved, I'd be hearing that from them, to be honest.
What I would request is there's a delay in this until, because of the government shutdown, get a definitive word from the Corps of Engineer on yay or nay, as far as whether they're going to become, as you said, involved or not.
I mean, also just, I don't know, to make a point to hopefully make you feel better and a point to you guys, every time that there's an entity that has jurisdiction that hasn't been looped in, that's always one of Mass DEP's comments. They had 0 comments on this project, so.
I do not believe that the Army Corps of Engineers would be involved in this. This is a Massachusetts DEP question under the Wetlands Protection Act related to the stream. There's no actual wetlands, correct? It's just this intermittent stream.
That's correct. There's no wetlands
Right.
associated.
So there is no wetlands in that sense.
According to the EPA, there is, and the tributaries are also, and they're the ones who referred me to the Army Corps of Engineer.
The DEP is the governing agency on this situation. That's my understanding.
That's the state. The EPA is federal. They oversee that wetlands that's all this leads into. And that comes right off of their map. They were there on site in '94, I believe it was. The mayor remembers them because they had an agent overseeing the containment and the reconstruction of that sewer line because it was going into the wetlands.
I mean, I can't speak to that. I can say that we are a conservation commission. Conservation commissions are municipal boards that get together to enforce the Wetlands Protection Act. We do that in conjunction with DEP, which is why we wait for their comments, and we enforce a state law. You know, we're not versed in federal regulations. We don't have any authority to enforce them.
No,
We're
and I
here
wasn't
to-
either until they informed me and then kind of upped it and said, no, it is part of the EPA area, EPA wetlands, but ultimately the Corps of Engineer oversee all wetlands within the United States.
That is not correct, I believe. Massachusetts has basically primacy for wetland regulation here.
They oversee the regulation, but the Army Corps of Engineer apparently has control over the wetlands for all of the U.S.
So if this is a sanitary sewer and the sewer we're discharging into the wetland there, the EPA
That's what
might-
happened was, that's when
Yeah,
I
the
first
EPA might get
realized.
involved in that instance.
They
yes.
were there, and then they were the ones that.
In that
said,
instance.
It's their area, and then they
Yes.
said that to oversee all of it for a question, any further questions, the Army Corps of Engineer would be the final, as far as deciding what falls into theirs and what would be allowed, you know, to go to, as you said, Jesse, the
Well,
DEP.
maybe with running a sewer line next to an
That's-
intermittent stream, that might be something that they would weigh in on. As far as a single-family home,
Well, it's
there
because
aren't-
it's within the buffer zone, I guess was the question.
yeah, I mean, every project that we see is within a buffer zone. They just simply don't have the time or the resources or the authority to review every single building project that is within a buffer zone.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the funnel in the wrong direction. You know, like we're here because they can't do everything. It's like not every court case can go to the Supreme Court. You know what I mean? Like this is,
Yeah, no, I understand, but that would be something they'd look at, and then they decide if it's something they should get involved with, or leave it to you and the state.
again, I think if this were a larger project, you know, if rivers were being diverted, if, you know, there was impacts directly to a resource area, that might make more sense. But unfortunately, I don't think they would have any comment on a single-family home being built in a buffer of an intermittent stream.
Well, under the DEP, it's 100 from either side of the creek, I believe, right?
What's your
That's how the
Yeah.
buffer works, correct?
DEP.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you
there's a
thought,
100-foot
okay.
buffer zone extending from the
So,
high water line. I think.
Maybe because it's entirely within the buffer zone, that's something they would look at, as you were saying, talking about the flooding issue.
It's not in FEMA floodplain. Under Wetlands Protection Act, that FEMA bordering land subject to flooding, that's the only thing that we are looking at. And it's not in
Okay,
there.
so
All that, I mean, Wasp Brook to the north of it, or Wasp Meadow, I think you were calling it.
that's Wasp Meadow, yeah, that's the entire,
That all is, this is just an intermittent stream feeding out of it. It's not in there. What
well,
they have determined.
that's what I was
is the
going by
floodplain.
with the EPA, because they said it goes by the wetlands, as you said, Wasp Meadow, but the tributaries leading into it. And there's the two, one that comes from Barrett Park, that's the main one, and then the one that they want to build along that side of. That's the secondary tributary. It's not the main one, but it's one of two.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing on this plan, the only thing that we're talking about is that intermittent stream that runs alongside it. That's the only thing that has a buffer zone that extends, you know, that's why we're here, that's what gives us jurisdiction.
Well, just because it's a buffer zone doesn't mean they can't develop in it. All it means is we're allowed to put some restrictions. For example, the slope, talked about the dry well. The one time that we turned down a house that was 90% of it was within the wetlands buffer zone, it got appealed to DEP and they took the case and allowed it. And that just added more expense to the developer, basically.
All right, that was the question they had. They got back right to me, back and forth up until the 9th, but because.
Do you have
of the
anything in
shutdown-
writing to share with us that would help us understand your position on that and their jurisdiction? So normally you'd ask them, somebody would ask them, do they have jurisdiction over it, and you get
I
something
can
in
drop
writing.
off a copy of the email and the engineer out of the Concord, Mass office. I'm going to butcher his first name, Mandy or Manny Singh, S-I-G-S-I-N-G-H. He was the one that I was corresponding with, and I didn't know if this was interrupted because of the federal shutdown. I did leave messages and stuff, and nothing's gotten returned, so maybe they have no interest at all, but I just, because of the shutdown, the communications were shut down, so.
And that would mean that the Army Corps of Engineers would be involved in most of our cases, including ones we just discussed tonight, other than the trees that were getting cut down at the one house. And we haven't seen that with any cases yet in my 4 years here.
I mean, even.
So I
if
think
you-
there's a misunderstanding as to their jurisdiction in this particular case.
Yeah, I agree with Rich.
But I would be interested to see what you have, what you've got in writing
Well, it's
from
very,
them.
it's very, what do you want to call it, the beginning, going back and forth to get some information, and he was looking for information. I think I provided what he needed, but because things were interrupted with a shutdown, I just don't know if they're set and done, or if it's something they do want to step into. I don't know. And with it shut down, it's kind of tough. I mean, I left message in case they had somebody that would check in and just give a little bit of feedback, and I haven't heard anything yet, so I'm assuming, like most of the federal offices, they are actually shut down.
John, do you have any thoughts on this that you want to share?
So I've done permitting, kind of all over the state in all different towns, and the only time the Army Corps of Engineers, when you reach a certain threshold, I've never had them impose any or get involved on any single-family houses. That we followed the right procedure in following with DEP and with this commission, and it seems like there might be a disconnect or a misunderstanding, as you said, on their involvement on this, but this is a buffer zone only, and DEP and this commission are the only governing authorities. As Jesse said, there's no comments from DEP, and if there was a need for the Army Corps to get involved, that would have been included in their comments.
Yeah, I've seen the Army Corps involved in, for example, putting on a large sewer line across a steady stream or river.
Yeah, totally.
And boy, they'll get involved in a great detail.
We actually had some work done on the Nashville River, which is part of the Waters of America, which is definitely of interest to the federal government, and they weren't even involved in the Nashville River project so it was a riprap. We didn't see anybody.
The protection of the sewer lines there.
Are you referencing a particular incident in 1994?
Well, that was an incident where I realized the EPA got involved into it, and when I looked into it later on, found out that they actually had control of that. And then after speaking to them just recently, they said that the final authority or over all of the wetlands went to the Army Corps of Engineers. And they would look at it, and as you were saying, either yes, they'll get involved, or no, they won't, and that's it.
Could you elaborate on what happened in 1994, which might shed some insight into what you're referring to and why the EPA would have been involved in this instance? Was it the installation of the sewer line? Was there discharge into the wetland from the sewer line? Was there a pollution? Was there an incidence of point source pollution, or?
Well, that's what the agent was there for, to oversee the repairs and to containment field to make sure that there wasn't any of that.
Sure. So in that instance, perhaps for
Not
the sewer line,
DEP,
but
the EPA was there.
yeah, but the sewer line isn't being touched here, so we shouldn't have any reason to involve.
Well,
the
no,
EPA
I'm just saying
because
that
of-
was the incident that drew me to look and see
Yeah.
if they actually had that or not, and that's where I started looking a little deeper into it. That's
So
all I'm
in-
saying about that,
yeah.
yeah. No, I
In
understand what you're
instances
saying.
of potential big pollution like that, yeah, the EPA would get involved, but for a process like this, for a proposal like this, the sewer line's not going to be touched, so there's no need to invoke the EPA at
Yeah.
all.
This is very small potatoes.
This should be self-contained.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's all
What-
I'm saying. They might not have anything to do with it at all. And go right back to what you're saying.
Okay.
It's just that because.
We do appreciate your interest and your willingness to look into that, but I do think that there is some kind of misunderstanding about their jurisdiction or their potential involvement with this case.
The concern expressed by other abutters was that the water would come toward their houses where there's been other flooding in that open lawn area. And we're trying to ensure that that water does not. It goes the other direction. No matter what we do, the same amount of water is going to land there.
Yeah.
Question is, what direction is it going to go? How much goes straight down? How much goes toward those neighbors? And how much goes toward the stream? I'd rather see it go toward the stream and down to the main wetland that you've referenced. And that's what this development would do with that house. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Claire Friedel, Leominster City Council. I just want to reiterate, I think what Mr. Coulter is probably talking about is we had a very severe situation in the Bascom Street area back in '94, and we were under a strong consent order by DEP because there was infiltration into the water system. We tried to go through U-Haul because that would have been the best route to take to divert and U-Haul wouldn't cooperate with us, so we had to really have some issues to go around. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember that we were under a very strong consent order, and they weren't very happy. So whether you want to take a chance and go back and look at some of the records, I don't think there is any repercussion now, but there was some severe issues back in the day on Bascom Street.
You said infiltration of the water system, you mean infiltration of the sewer system?
I don't remember if it was a sore break, but it was
Well, they don't need to
a
break to
massive
have
flood.
infiltration.
I'm telling you, I don't remember the details, but I know that we were under a strong consent order, and they weren't happy with us over some of the details that had to be done. So I'm just saying that Mr. Coulter might have a question that you could probably find the answer if you look back in that time frame. You should have some records on it, because there was a lot to look at to try to figure out how it was going to be corrected. And I just remember that the best way was with the cooperation of U-Haul on Central Street, and they wouldn't help. So there was another route that was taken to help to resolve the issue. And I'm not sure what it was, because I'm trying to go back
Sounds like a
in my
sewer
memory.
line issue. Clearly, it wouldn't be infiltration of the drinking water system.
I could have used the wrong word. I used infiltration. I'm trying to think of what the issue was, but it was a serious consent order that this city was under
Understood.
in the Bascom Street area. So there should be something somewhere that you can go back and look. There should be some record that would speak to what Mr. Coulter was talking about, because I remember that I had just started on the city council, and it was a mess. So whether there was any residual effect, whether it was all taken care of, I don't know that I can answer that, but I do know there was a big problem back around the 1994, as he suggested.
Okay,
John,
interesting.
you guys are tying into sewer, right?
We are.
Yeah, I know that I spoke to John Roseberry from DPW briefly about this project. I mean, I would think that he would be aware of any, I think if there was a reason to be concerned, John would have been aware of it. If nothing else, and, you guys want to issue, not telling anyone what to do, but if an order were to be issued, we could put in a condition that said pending the confirmation that there are no issues regarding the abutting, I guess, sewer line.
We only have jurisdiction within 100 feet of that intermittent creek.
Yeah. Well,
Period.
that's what
That's it. And no
the sewer
matter
line.
what's going on beyond that, we have no say in it.
The sewer line is closer than the sewer line runs adjacent to the stream, like directly. So it's that's closer than the actual proposed house.
Yeah.
You can see that here.
Real quick, as Ms. Frieda pointed out.
Can you please step
that's
to the mic?
only-
Step up to the microphone
Oops, sorry.
so I can hear you better. Thank you, sir.
That is the only outlet from Moss Meadow. That's what was causing the problem, and that outlet actually goes underneath an old metal sewer pipe that's part of that system that gets it to Union Street. And it's got blocks on each side. So if, as she said, all that rain and now that water coming from other areas, yes, it's going into Was, but it's all leaving Was along that area, causing the problem that it did years ago behind U-Haul, but it also may compromise that part of the sewer line that crosses it and the old blocks that have been put up there. But that was the only point I wanted to make. That's the only outlet. So even there's all this water going in, I hadn't even thought of that. That's the other point, is where's it all going out and what's it going to affect there? So yeah, you're turning the water away from other houses and stuff, but then you'd have to take into account where it's all going and what the house is going to affect.
I think overall it's still going to be the same amount of rain that is ultimately going into the same drainage stream. I don't know how much this development would impact that. I don't know, but
The same water's going to get downhill.
it's not going to change the amount of
rain. But I appreciate the clarification. Councilwoman, I appreciate the additional information. That does make a little bit more sense, and I would definitely be amenable to a condition if that is the direction that things were going to go tonight, to make sure that that someone, double checks that. That seems reasonable.
Thank you.
John, would you rather have a condition on this? Or would you
I guess
rather we
I'm-
wait till the next meeting to approve it?
I guess I'm curious on
vote.
what the wording of that condition would be.
I mean,
Obviously we
since
would.
it's a sewer line, DPW, they're the ones who do sewer, so we could put in a condition that says, pending confirmation with the Leominster DPW that there are no issues
Yeah.
with the plan as proposed.
John Roseberry has seen this plan too.
Yeah.
And so if there was a condition pending a sewer connection plan approval, we'd be fine with that. We'd have to get that anyways.
They'd have to, you have to get their
Yeah.
approval to
Yeah, we
attach
could do
into
that,
it.
yeah.
So,
That's a good idea.
So I'm not sure what we get by doubling that approval, so to speak.
Okay.
By the-
I think we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, right? There's an existing sewer that we're proposing to connect.
Yeah.
This isn't the only house that connects to it, and that if it's not, it's not the burden of the one house builder to then
No, it's not.
upgrade the whole, I don't know, I think that's a slippery slope, and it's
If DPW accepts it, they accept it.
correct. The connection?
Yeah,
Okay.
the sewer connection.
All right.
And our jurisdiction ends, it's only your property and what's within 100 feet.
Yeah.
Now, we can think of impacts downstream, but we don't have jurisdiction
true.
per se. We only have jurisdiction as what you're doing, and I don't see how what you're doing can have any great impact on anything downstream. It's one more house in the sewer system that DPW has to approve and accept they have the assimilation capacity for.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say that we don't have a responsibility to consider down gradient impacts. I can think of cases
So
we've
we can
had.
consider, but we don't have jurisdiction per se over what's happening down there. What leaves this property does.
But we should be mindful where there are conditions that, if approved, could have negative consequences for down gradient. Like, I'm thinking of that.
Absolutely, like the people who get flooded by something.
Yeah, like I'm thinking of one instance in particular over the last 4 years that was sort of on a hill.
Yep, the one up on Hillary, near Hillary,
Yes.
Harwood Terrace. Yeah, that was very bad how it flooded, the way that was designed.
We got-
The storm
And we
drainage.
should be mindful about
Agreed.
potential like that. I do
agree.
not think this is one of those situations.
I agree with that
But I
also.
wanted to,
Clarify my wording.
yeah, I wanted
Thank
to
you.
tighten up that language.
Appreciate that, Stephanie.
I just want to add, I had checked with someone to see if they remembered the issue that was involved back then, and it was through the DPW, and they said that the relief store in the street has the capacity. The issue should be wetlands and the proximity to the brook. That's what the worry should be about. So
Okay.
Okay.
so that
Thank you.
cleared it
Thank you
up.
for doing
And
it.
answered
Yeah,
my
thank you. I
question,
appreciate
too.
that.
Yeah. Very good to know.
Good to have connections.
Are there other
Curious.
questions from the
Yeah, how do I
public?
get an answer from them that quickly?
You gotta know somebody.
Yeah, just briefly, I think we spoke last meeting. I just wanted to kind of.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Paul Miller, and I live at 20 Tisdale. I'm actually the trustee for there's a condo there, it's 20 and 22.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm just going to ask Jesse, did you get a chance to talk to them about updating in the assessor's
Oh, yeah,
office?
I did speak to them, to be honest.
I know
Totally
they're really
different-
busy. So.
No, it's just a different world with like trustees and how all that stuff works. They explained it to me. If you want the answer, you can feel free to reach out to them. I can explain to you what happened. It made sense to me at the time, but like I said, it's a different world, and I have enough difficulty keeping track of my own regulations.
I can go and talk to them.
I leave that
yeah.
to them.
Yeah, I can go and talk to him. So
Yeah.
I'll be really brief, and because I know we've been hashing this over. My main concern, and when you guys came out to look at the property, was flooding. This is gonna flood. There's no question about it, because there's houses there that have been there that sit up higher than this, considerably higher, that have flooded. So it's going to flood if you build a house there. And there's a reason why there haven't been houses built there. And, I mean, we showed you some pictures, in that one rain event, and that was an extraordinary thing. But there's been flooding, not just that one time. There's been flooding there for decades. And so, and I know you've talked about adding and requiring some, some measures be included in the plans to, to try to, better control that, make sure the grading is going towards where the stream is and that. And I know after that one rain event, it probably kind of redirected the stream a bit. I know when I was back there, you can tell where the erosion was around, like, some of the trees, and they were exposed, like, roots and that sort of thing. That all looked recent, to me. And a couple of things. One is, if this gets approved and they go ahead and build this, when it floods, somebody's going to have to answer for that when this floods. And it's going to flood. I mean, there's no question it's going to flood. Unless you build it up, and I mean, you'd have to get it up higher because you're at the level of the stream right now. So I think a foot, that wouldn't be enough. 2 feet probably wouldn't be enough. I mean, if you looked at the flood that we showed you the pictures of, it would have been under about 4 or 5 feet of water. So I mean, that's my main concern. And I know that you can build it up and you can grade it to where it flows, more down to where the natural stream is there. I mean, you can do that.
That's when the flow is not coming from the stream toward the house, which, of course, if it's overflowing, it will come toward the house.
Right.
Even with the slope is for the typical rain, more so.
Right, and I mean, and we all know that, rain events that typically wouldn't happen, once in 100 years, you can't bank on that anymore as far as what's going to happen. I think that if this moves forward, we're probably going to appeal this, and we're probably going to bring up this about the flooding. Well, let me put it this way, and this might be a little unfair, but I just want to pose like a hypothetical question. Knowing what you know today and the pictures that you've seen, you've been out there, if you were buying a house, or if somebody in your family was, would you have no reservations at all? Oh yeah, I mean, I'll buy that house, I'll live there, I don't have really concerns about it. Or would you have any concerns? And I mean, you don't have to answer that question, but I think it's kind of a fair question because there's a reason why nothing's ever been built back there. And that's probably the reason. And I think and I don't think the people that have had flooding, they don't have flood insurance. I don't know if you could get flood insurance back there. I mean, if the insurance company actually looked into this at all, I doubt they would want to insure any property back there. But I just wanted to say that if this does go forward, we're probably gonna appeal this. And I did talk to a couple of law firms as far as how that would work and that. And I think it's 10 business days from the time that this would be passed that you would be able to.
I'll be
appeal.
happy to go over the details with you if we get to that point.
It's been hard to find an attorney because I guess because of the development. I mean, looking locally.
I don't think you need an attorney to appeal with Mass DEP.
No, I know. We can just file the paperwork. But I mean, if this were to, if we needed somebody, you might have to go outside of town. Because I checked with 3 and they all said they had a conflict.
Yeah. Also, if I can just to reiterate, like, when we approve or deny a project, we are not saying we think this is a good idea or we think this is a bad idea. People submit applications and we are the regulatory authority that tells them whether their applications comply with the regulations in the Wetlands Protection Act or not. So if we are to deny a project, then we need to cite the standard that they are not meeting. So when we approve projects, it's not because we think this is a good idea necessarily, it's because this project meets the law as submitted, you know? It's a law that we're enforcing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody answered that question I posed, but.
Well, I guess that's my point, is that's not a question that we should even be, we are
Well-
evaluating it against regulations. We are not asking.
So who would be the body that would say this probably is not a good idea? And that you should probably find a more suitable?
I can only speak to what we're doing here.
Because.
I mean, I think that sort of happens before it gets to us. You know, if planning and zoning determine that it is a developable lot.
So who makes that determination?
Well, this is just a single-family lot, so if it meets lot size, but either, we're not, that's not what we're, I'm explaining what this board does. This is a Conservation Commission meeting, you know. And you could go to, they have to get a building permit, obviously, to put the house up, you know. You could talk to the building commissioner. I don't know if he would have information for you. I just don't want to speak, I don't, you know.
I mean,
I worry about like I said,
Right.
I have enough difficulty keeping track of my own rules.
Yeah,
So I
and
worry
like,
about my
and
own
I know you don't
stuff.
have jurisdiction here, I don't, you know, over something like that necessarily, but I'll do that. I mean, you know, because, like I said, when I was here last time, when this came up and somebody told me that they were thinking about this, I didn't really take it seriously. But it's serious now because it's moving forward, and if they put a house back there, it's going to flood. And then somebody's going to be asking, why is it that, you know, you built my house here and it flooded? And there's going to be a lot of people that have to answer that question. It won't, not necessarily you guys, you did your job and it met all of the requirements based on your jurisdiction and what you get to decide. But maybe I can look into this a little bit more as far as how this was approved, as far as just the location and that about you know, and what thought process went into that. Because I mean, it's been like that.
Yeah.
Are you saying the other houses should not have been built there on that street?
Well, I don't know if
That's the
those
impression I'm
questions,
getting.
well, I don't know if those questions are actually asked at that time. Maybe they shouldn't have been. I don't know.
We are
But-
allowed to look at flood control and storm damage protection.
Okay.
Those are two of our 8 interest areas.
So like I said, if a house gets built there, it's going to flood. I don't think there's any question that it will flood.
Yeah.
How bad it floods and that sort of, and what you can do to mitigate that and that sort of thing. But let's not, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's a risk of flooding. There's a history of flooding. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you tell the people who buy this house when they get flooded?
Can I speak to this a little bit, Mr. Miller? What my point earlier was that the FEMA flood zone does not extend to ephemeral streams such as this. They don't bother. They just don't bother to make a 100-year flood zone around an ephemeral stream. They'll do perennial streams, but so we're at a perennial stream. FEMA would include a 100-year floodplain or a 500-year floodplain, and they would have bordering land subject to flooding based on that 100-year flood zone. The map doesn't exist here. We're in a condition. We're operating in a condition where the thing that we want, bordering land subject to flooding, is not mapped. You're highlighting a discrepancy between the world as we know it to be and the world as we're charged to think of it on a map. You raise a fair point, but unfortunately, we're tasked to think of the world as it's been mapped, not as it actually is. So in this case, if bordering land subject to flooding were to apply here as mapped by FEMA, then we could take that into consideration. I mean, we could ask, you could even ask Mr. Plifka if it were mapped as bordering land subject to flooding, and that would extend to 402 feet, would you be content with the design as proposed? I mean, you could ask that question.
How about-
Would you like to change it? I mean,
Well,
but-
can we
but
ask that question? I mean, if
You can
this
ask
was-
him that question, but
I mean, can you
Yeah.
answer that question? I mean, if this was, if this was a perennial
Sure.
stream,
yeah.
and this was part of,
we
and
had it mapped,
that was a
yeah.
question, would this change the way that, well, actually building this at all, or how you designed your plan?
So I think we're getting a little
Yeah,
in the
it would-
gray area about this. That's a subjective question, and I'm required to design objectively.
I don't personally want to go into hypothetical questions. I don't see a need for that.
We
This is-
normally avoid hypotheticals.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great idea.
We don't need a FEMA mapping, though, to be concerned about flooding. Harwood
Yeah.
Terrace was not FEMA mapped, and that engineering design and the rainfall that came really impacted the houses downhill of it. We're still sensitive about that situation. You do raise, Mr. Miller, something of interest. Who in the city is responsible for a house like this? We realize one that was built, that was near Prospect and Pond Street, the one that just got wiped out, after the September 11th
Yeah.
storm. We had our case where the planning and everybody else approved the house on Harwood Terrace. We allowed it, and then people got flooded down below. So who's really responsible for that? I would appreciate a little further discussion of that, maybe from Jesse to other departments addressing, so what happens when this house does flood? Where do they point fingers, the new owner? Because nobody's going to warn them, is my guess. In fact, the one on Wildflower got flooded after they bought it.
Yeah. I mean, I can ask around, to be honest. I think with a single-family home, I mean, they say buyer beware. At the end of the day, if a private landowner owns land and they meet the lot size requirement and it's in a district where they're allowed to build a home,
And they
come
wanna
to us
build
and
it.
they get a permit because they're, within a buffer zone. Like, I think you're speaking of a very slippery slope where
Yeah, probably.
where the town is suddenly allowed to tell you that you can't build a house there, and then, and builders build homes and they sell them to make money, and that's what a lot of people do, and it's unfortunately a buyer beware world that we live in. I don't know, like I said, I should probably stop talking because I'm not 100% certain on that, but that's my 2 cents. Like, it's a slippery slope, I guess.
And I think under the same token, the home insurer, with respect to flooding, would see that, well, it's not in the flood zone, so we can provide insurance. That's what I would suspect. I'm not an insurer, but I think that they're sort of forced to operate under the same mapped world.
Well, I can look into that and see, as far as insurance. I know, I don't have insurance, flood insurance, and I don't believe anybody else does. I could look into that to see, would somebody be able to get insurance there?
You
if
certainly
they wanted?
can, but, at the end of the day, the answer to that question isn't going to change the.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I mean,
the conditions that we have to operate
I think it's
in.
an interesting point that's been brought up here as far as, is it a good idea? Or is it maybe not a good idea? If it was me building a house, no, I would not build a house there.
Yeah, I mean.
With this plan or any plan, but that's me, so it's,
We don't always agree with the projects that come to
oh,
us on an individual basis.
yeah, I get it,
We
I
just
get
don't.
it. Well, like I said, this, I think some things have come up here.
No one gets into this line.
Is there not going to be, I mean, you're not going to vote on this tonight, right? As far as approving this?
Oh, not necessarily, we might. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
well,
That'll be discussed in just a couple minutes.
okay, so if I could, if that's the case, I'd like to at least get a little bit more time to look into some of these other things that have come up, if that's possible. I don't know whenever because certainly they've been given lots of, continuations during this process. So just because I'd like to take this to outside of this, to consider what other bodies that might be involved here that we could take this, at least the flooding portion of this to, which outside of, maybe just this committee. If you just consider that, if that would be possible. But that's all I had.
What kind of time frame are you interested in? Just
Well, at least
hypothetical.
Well, I'd like to actually talk to somebody who's an expert on the law, the regulations, and all of that goes into constructing this sort of thing. So, since I've had a little bit of trouble finding somebody, but maybe at least a few weeks.
May I respond to that, or do you have add comment? Respectfully, I think we've touched on a lot of different areas that aren't pertaining to this application. This is a single-family house within the buffer zone, and it meets the criteria of the Wetlands Protection Act. I guess that would just be, I'd just like to highlight that there's no direct impact to the resource area. And there was a mention of our continuations previously. That was only we hadn't been issued a DEP file number yet. So we filed this back in August.
Yeah.
And we're almost in November, so.
Well, I would like to have an opportunity to have a review of that application and that, just to see if there's anything that would be a point that could be appealed on this.
You've had that opportunity since August,
Well,
is my understanding.
well, that may be true, but I wasn't even notified when I should have been notified because they didn't do a notification. So so I didn't come into this process until after that notification had been sent out, when I should have been notified and I wasn't. And that was not your guys' fault. That was because when they sent the abutters list out, it was wrong. So, I don't think a few weeks, a couple weeks, is very long to wait, especially because, like I said, there's some things that have come up as part of this conversation tonight that I think everybody would, I think I would, and I think you would, if some of those questions got answered, or at least looked into. Whether or not this, everything is fine and there's no issue with this at all. Because if we do appeal this, okay, then it would go to, I guess it goes to the state, right?
Yes.
This gets appealed?
Yep.
So maybe we can answer those questions, and then that process doesn't have to take place. That would actually slow things down more. So I think asking for a little bit of time to look into some of that might save us a lot of time later, because if we do the appeal, then it's gonna start that process anyway. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. But it's up to you guys.
Okay. I appreciate your thoughts and being here and coming and sharing with us.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Did we have any other questions or comments from the audience?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Liz Macarella, 75 Harvard Street. Just listening to what's going on tonight and having been present at a few different board meetings lately, including planning board. When stormwater comes up at planning board meetings, they recognize that it falls under them somewhat, but they have stated multiple times that they always defer to Conservation Commission. And on something like what we're just talking about now, you mentioned that stormwater is one of your items, under your purview. Here's an issue where it could be a demonstrable problem for the completed project. When do you step in, and do you realize that while planning could talk about it when they do their review, they seem to have a policy of not really dipping their toes into it and to deferring to you guys?
I can answer that.
Like, my concern is that each of you is sort of saying,
So
not
under
it.
the Wetlands Protection Act, there's stormwater standards which are triggered by things like subdivisions or large developments. This is a single-family home, so the stormwater management standards do not apply here.
Okay. But in the bigger picture, when there are larger projects, I guess.
Then the stormwater management standards apply. They get submitted to us. They get submitted to Mass DEP, and everyone makes sure that they are in compliance with the standards that fall. For us, under the Wetlands Protection Act for planning, I don't work with the planning board. Obviously, I speak with them, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that there's some
There is.
interconnectedness and that.
But there's also, it's you, from a legal perspective, you're better off worrying about the regulations that you are enforcing.
Completely understand. I just want to make sure someone is enforcing them. So.
Yeah, like a lot of the discussion that you overheard with Hannigan Engineering and the Roche Avenue, that is a situation where stormwater management is front and center. And, we requested a much more detailed plan from them. They wrote something very thorough that overcompensates for expected runoff that is, they're meeting the condition of having more than 5 developments. And so this is part of that big picture. Part of it is that with the single family house, the disturbance is, it's small enough that it's the concern is more like flooding on the lot and less about stormwater management as a whole. As long as you're not directing water onto somebody else's property where it was not previously going.
Right.
That's the bar for the single family house. You know what I mean? And then the larger the development is, the more considerations that you have.
So when they're trying to build a single-family house and there is a significant concern about flooding, if that house is not shown to be in a flood zone map, a FEMA map, there's really nothing anyone's going to do?
Jesse, when we were out there reviewing this, you had mentioned potentially, pulling together some, I think citations would be the word I'm looking for, but highlighting some things that could potentially come into play where if we're looking at if we are or are not meeting standards. Did you have an opportunity to pull a list of applicable standards together that we can?
Are you talking about conditioning the project, or?
Yeah. Well, before conditioning the project, really when it comes down to voting, so that, people were voting, I'll say, more objectively. And
I mean, all that we have as far as voting objectively is work within the 100-foot buffer of an intermittent stream.
no, I know, but we had talked about. You had talked about pulling together a list of objectives, I think is the word that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But maybe I misunderstood something.
I don't know. I feel like if I was talking about anything, I might have been speaking of just conditions that we would put
Sure.
on the order of conditions. I don't know. I could have said something and then not came with it too. I'm not sure.
In terms of stormwater, we're normally looking at the impacts of the project on other projects.
Places.
Not on the impact. I'm raking my brain trying to see if I can remember one where we paid attention whether that actual development itself would be flooded and whether this is a good idea or not. And normally we're not judging whether it's a good idea or not.
And-
But
yeah.
these questions do make me uncomfortable.
Right.
that who's going to catch this?
Yeah,
And
I'm
protect the
I'm
next
uncomfortable as
owner
well, and that's why I'm
that they're
standing
gonna
here.
sell it to.
Because, we all know that we're getting a lot more storms. We all remember 2 years ago, September 11, our flooding. This is happening more, and we have, all the existing homes that are already potentially problematic because of this. But we have an opportunity when we're considering new homes to potentially mitigate those problems and be smarter about what we're allowing as a city. So if we have gaps, I just would really like us to start taking a hard look at that and understanding how can we fill those gaps? Do we need some additional ordinances? Maybe it's just a matter of can we prove demonstrably that there has been flooding on a site? Is there photo documentation of it? Maybe in such cases, it triggers something that would put some additional conditions on or perhaps disallow certain types of development. I just would like us as a
That
city
would
to...
be, if you're looking to get more ordinances passed, I would suggest talking to your city councilors, because, this commission, we've been talking about trying to get a wetland bylaw going. That's gonna be a long process, and that's something that, we can work on in the meantime,
But I
as
also
far
think
as,
that you guys are the experts as far as how far your existing purview extends and where those gaps might be. And I think tonight we've potentially uncovered one, and it would be good to work together on how to resolve that type of difficulty, if I'm making sense.
Yes.
No, I understand what you're saying. My only point is, we don't have any ability to revise the Wetlands Protection Act.
No, and I don't think I'm asking for that. I think I'm just asking for some responsible development in the city, and a piece of that probably lands with you guys. So let's just do that hard work.
To the extent that you're concerned about stormwater management, we began our discussion on this issue by noting that any stormwater would run off toward the river.
Right.
In the grading, and that there would be the addition of the dry well in
Yeah.
the southern portion of the lot. That's also to address stormwater capacity. So in fact, our discussion of this did include stormwater, and that was,
Yeah.
we started with that. So
Yes, and I do appreciate
yeah.
that. I'm not trying to say you guys are derelict, and your hands are tied by what you're allowed to weigh in on and the conditions
Yeah.
that you can.
for a single family
Adopt.
home, that sort of consideration is appropriate for discussion of stormwater, that sort of scale.
Sure, but then if down the road that house is flooded, then maybe we have more of a problem than our existing rules or system allows us to resolve. That's all, that's my point.
Okay. Please state your name and address for the record.
Certainly. Sue Shalif, Zephyr City Councilor at Large here in Leominster, 900 West. I just wanted to follow up on some things that were said about, and I know that this is a little bit outside of your jurisdiction, but so many homes across the city have been flooded multiple times. There's a whole section, Burridge Avenue in North Leominster, I'm sure that you guys are familiar with. All along Merriam Avenue, behind Merriam Avenue, again, there are homes that have been flooded seriously and significantly more than one time. And what people say after that happens is they never should have been built there. Those homes never should have been built. So I understand that, that's outside of your purview, but as a city councilor, I would be happy to work with experts who understand stormwater and drainage and all that kind of stuff to see if we can preclude that, because some nice person is going to buy this home, if not initially when it's brand new, down the road, and they're going to have a problem on their hands, when their home floods. They're going to be in, terrible circumstances. So again, it's happened. It's just a shame to see this happening. And I understand, we want to build new homes in Leominster. We want people to have homes to live in. But building it in a place that is already known to be a flood area, it's just, it makes no sense, really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is she advocating that we should be building up on hills, or am I going to get in trouble by even saying that in front of this crowd? Oh, somebody laughed. Appreciate that.
Hi.
Hi. Name and address, please.
Yep, sure. Carrie Noseworthy, 95 Smith Street. I'll be brief. I just want to reiterate what Sue Shalif Zephyr said. I live at 95 Smith Street. Nobody told me my house was built on a swamp. I was very much impacted by September 11th flooding, and I am a newer counselor, and so like Sue Chalafoux said, I also look forward to working with you all. I've been trying to learn a lot more about how I can learn more about the drainage in Ward 5 and see if we can get some projects going. Also, yes, we need new housing for sure. I make the jokes, my 19 and 21-year-olds live with me, and I love them, but I don't want them to live with me forever. So I'm responsible housing. But I also would love to work with you and other stakeholders because, like I said, my house was built on a swamp, and it's been really expensive and really tiresome for my family, and I want to do better for the other residents of Ward 5. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we've had 3 city councilors speak in relation to this situation here tonight.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the audience? Okay. Any final comments from the?
I think we've gone down a lot of different avenues that aren't totally pertaining to this project or stem from this exact project. I could see their connection, but again, this is a buffer zone only impact that meets the intent of the Wetlands Protection Act. It's not required to meet the stormwater standards. However, we are providing stormwater treatment in the form of a dry well. It's not located in a floodplain, and I guess that'd be my closing statements. And I guess since there's just been so much discussion from different areas prior to closing the hearing, could I request a straw poll vote on the board's position on whether they would issue an order of conditions for the project?
I would say no.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. Thank you for your request, though. Jesse, what's your recommendation?
I got a question first for John. Do you think any governmental agency or body, either in Leominster or elsewhere, should be responsible for putting safeguards forward so that houses and other developments do not get flooded, at least not much, such as in this case? Who would be responsible for that if we are not? Because I'm not disagreeing, but you're suggesting we're not responsible for preventing this house from being getting flooded. That we're responsible for what's flooding downstream of it, so there's downflow of it. Who is? The city council said they weren't. Planning board wasn't. Or I guess they said they put it on us. We haven't really looked at flooding in the house itself to speak of. Nick brought it up tonight eloquently.
Well, again, I think that, that it not being mapped as a floodplain, there might be some flooding that happens on here, but I think a lot of that stems from the berm that's been created from years of adding lawn clippings and leaf litter that has ponded up there. So once we get in there for construction, it's going to flow down towards the stream, and it's not restricted to get to that stream.
If there were flooding in the house and the new occupant came back to you guys as the engineers looking for solutions, what would you do for them? Would you do anything?
Would I think we're going down a path I don't really want to go down,
Sure.
but that's
fair.
It's a what if questions that aren't in.
Sure.
And what would they think if they heard this discussion? Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. Okay. Jesse, what's your recommendation?
I would recommend issuing an order of conditions standard plus our special ones, and also pending submittal of a plan which shows the details on that trench which you guys are proposing that'll carry the water towards the intermittent stream. So I'll wait until you guys vote and I can explain that.
There was something mentioned that you might be willing to raise it a little bit more, the house?
Yeah, I mean, we could raise the foundation of the garage if that's something that the board would like to see, we can raise it another 2 feet, no problem, foot.
Nick, you're the one who brought this up.
I think that'd be prudent.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not,
Sure.
if it's all the same to you, I think it would satisfy a lot of the concerns that were raised tonight, even though, even though it's not in a map flood zone, we do have evidence of flooding here, and
It couldn't hurt.
there's widespread interest in responsible development. So yeah, robust.
We have no objection to that.
Yeah, robust.